My camera's gone today, so I decided to make this video by the army of Miko standards, and I hope you guys enjoy. Banners just dropped. It's time to talk about them. Let's do that.
Personally,
let's talk about it. Yeah, okay, Miko got it. So as usual, I'm gonna go over what's worth it and what's not, and let's talk about them. If you're living under a rock, you may not have noticed that Nahida and Nilou are back, and actually this 4-star light-up was a complete shock to me. I had no idea what to expect on this banner setup, so here we go. First off, I've already made a video for Nilou and a video for Nahida, and the Nilou one should come out relatively soon. There's been some legal complications and I haven't been able to release it yet, but soon. But basically, both these characters are really good. Nahida is an absolutely busted unit. She's not really a must pull. No character in this game is a must pull, but she's like basically the closest thing aside from like Kazuha. So this character can be really good. If you hate doing damage and you hate clearing Spiral Abyss, you can skip her. Or if you already can clear Spiral Abyss without her, you can skip her. But if you're looking for something that'll help push you over the edge and help you be able to meet those DPS checks with something like a Hyper Bloom team, Nahida's going to be awesome for that. And then also, Nilou is extremely good. She's going to be a Hydro character that buffs all of your Bloom damage. And in AoE scenarios, she has one of the highest damage ceilings in the game. In single target, she's a little bit worse, but her teams are still really strong. The downside to Nilou, and the thing that most people are upset about with Nilou, is that you can only play Dendro and Hydro characters with her. Otherwise, her passive literally just deactivates. Like, you just don't get the buff at all. And in my opinion, I feel like that's not really great game design, but at the same time, you know, at least she's unique and she provides something a little different than other characters. So you may enjoy that. And if that kind of playstyle is for you, then pull for Nilou. She's very strong, especially now that there's a lot more Dendro characters on the roster and there's 2 more coming out in the second half of the patch. I would say Nilou's a lot more free-to-play friendly than she was before, and a much better pull if you decide to go for her. So between these two, I do think Nahida drastically enhances Nilou, and I think that's something you should consider if you're going to pull for Nilou. But let's look at these 4 stars. So over here we have Kuki Shinobu, we have Layla, and Dori. This is going to be something that maybe a lot of people disagree with, but I actually think this is a good banner for collectors. Now, what I mean by that is that the value of these characters is not super great. Actually, I think Kuki is a really good character, but the reason she's a super good character is because Hyper Bloom exists, not because her kit itself is like super broken. But she is a very strong character and she can be amazing in Hyper Bloom because she can be your healer and she can do AoE Electro, which can proc Hyper Blooms, and for that, she's very, very good. But all of these units are just all right in one way or another. Layla is like Diona, but without the healing, but slightly more damage, so you take that as you will. Dori is a character in the hit game Genshin Impact, so overall these characters are kind of whatever you want to make of them. I think Kuki is a good pickup, but I don't think she's super necessary for your account, but she can bring you a lot of value. Whereas Layla is in a similar boat. You don't really need her for your account, but in a freeze team, she can be nice, especially with Shenhe. And Dori can be okay for your Eula team, but a lot of times people are still going to be running someone like Fischl. Just know she's an option Electro healer that gives you battery. None of these characters like scream to me that they're super amazing, except for maybe Kuki. But the reason I say this banner is really good for collectors is because these are newer units. So Layla and Dori haven't been in the game that long. Kuki came out a fair bit ago, but even then she hasn't had that many banners, and same with Layla and Dori. So the thing is, if you're just looking to collect characters and get constellations, which a lot of these later 4 stars are, I would say, constellation locked, not in that they're useless without them, but like their constellations provide a pretty significant portion of their kit value, then getting these characters constellations could be good. And if you're just looking to fill out your roster, these are rarer characters that we have not seen as often, and for that reason I would say it could be good value for your account, but it's on a case-by-case basis. Because what these characters individually provide outside of Kuki is not super amazing and not something that you super need, to be completely honest. But if you like any of these characters' amazing designs and Dori, this could be a banner that's for you. You just gotta have to take a look at your account and decide. As far as new players go, I don't think it's super important that you pull in this banner, but if you happen to pull for someone like Nahida and you get Kuki, that's amazing. And Layla can help you shape out your cryo teams. But there's one more thing that I want to take a look at. This is the weapon banner. We have Ki, which is Nilou's weapon, and we have Nahida's weapon, which is going to be an EM catalyst. Now, the nice thing about Nahida's weapon is it is an EM support weapon that gives elemental mastery to the rest of your team, and just by Nahida having it, you are going to be helping out the rest of your team's elemental reactions. If you're playing a Hyper Bloom team, then only the Electro character that's proccing the Hyper Blooms really needs it. But if you're doing something like a Nilou team, this weapon can be actually extremely helpful, especially if you have inconsistent triggers on who's proccing the blooms. And then as far as the Ki goes, it's going to be an HP weapon. It's kind of giga niche. Now, as far as Ki goes, it increases your HP by 20%, and when your skill hits opponents, you gain an effect that's going to increase your equipped character's EM by a portion of their max HP. The benefit of that is that Nilou is getting some EM, or if you give this to someone like Kuki, then she can get higher Hyper Bloom damage. And on top of that, it's going to be sharing some of that elemental mastery with the team. It's not an insane amount, but it can give your team some elemental mastery as well. So both of these weapons give your team elemental mastery, and if that's something you're struggling with, maybe this is a good banner for you. But to be honest, I don't think either of these characters really need their weapons. I would say Nilou is a fairly free-to-play friendly character, even without her signature HP weapon. And I would also say that Nahida has so many other good free-to-play options. You could also use something like Prototype Amber or Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers on her, and that's totally fine. And if you're just looking for an EM weapon, you have other options as well. As far as the 4 stars, Xiphos is back, and if you do end up pulling for the 5 stars and you get some Xiphos, that could be really good. And R5 Xiphos is an insane Kazuo weapon. Elemental Mastery can be pretty good. Dragon's Bane can be good for Hu Tao and for a lot of other characters actually, Rosaria, Xiangling, anyone that can benefit from Elemental Mastery. Sacrificial Fragments could be a decent Nahida weapon. Stringless can be a good Fischl weapon, and some other Elemental Mastery based characters can utilize it as well. Fav Greatsword is alright. There's just not a lot of characters that are going to use it, but if you do get Dory, Fav Greatsword will be probably what you stick on Dory. So all in all, I feel like this banner is not super great unless you're planning on kind of wailing and swiping. I wouldn't recommend going on this weapon banner personally, but if you enjoy it, if this is something you want, go for it. I don't feel like the value is super there, but for low spenders and whales that do want to spend on it, you can stack up your Xiphos. You can honestly, I feel like Dragon's Bane shows up every single weapon banner. So overall, I feel like these banners are skips unless you don't have Nahida or Nilou and really want them, mostly because these 3 characters aren't to die for. Kuki, like I said, can be very good if you're building a Hyperbloom setup, and Hyperbloom is one of the best teams in the game, so she can be a good unit for that. But the reason Kuki is good is because she's a healer and because she enables Hyperbloom, not necessarily because of anything insane she does on her own. It's just that the team archetype exists and that the elemental reaction exists, that she's good. And you could say the same thing for a lot of other Electro characters. But with that said, you know, if you pull a Kuki, I wouldn't complain. She's great. Also, she looks really cool, and that's worth something. Layla's very pretty. She's all right. Dory's all right. Overall, if you're not collecting characters, I think the 4 stars are a skip, but I think the 5 stars are absolutely amazing. But that's not actually all we're talking about today. There's another update that I think is really good that maybe the YouTube side hasn't really heard from me about. And I mostly keep all this stuff to Twitter, so if you're interested, you know, follow my Twitter at Braxophone. We actually got some really good news about the voice actor for Tuknati. He was doing some very awful things to some very young kids, and if you want to learn more, I don't feel personally comfortable opening up on that on video, but I do want to point out that they did replace Tuknati's English voice actor after 3.6 is updated. I don't know if that means 3.7 or if that means officially in 3.6 he's replaced, but even so, either way, this is extremely fast, and I'm glad that they were productive on this, because people that do horrible things to children don't really deserve to have professional careers, in my opinion, and that guy needs to be locked away for a long time. So I'm glad they got on it, and a lot more people are going to feel safe playing Tuknati again. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know who you're pulling for. I want to know who you guys are excited about, and I'll catch you guys next time.